Okay, I'm about to set up a reel on my Bernhard Dual Express grinder, or Express Dual, I should say. And the manufacturers recommend no more than 10 thousandths cone in the reel. And the way I'm going to measure that is with a pie tape. Some of the other grinders, Foley's in particular, they have basically a digital caliper on it. You know, the bottom end of the digital caliper where it has the little dingus that sticks out. They have something similar to that, and what they do is they actually measure off the center line of the reel shaft. Personally, I find that to be not the best way of doing this, because the center line of this reel shaft is not necessarily concentric to the bearings, to the bearing journals on the reel. And when they manufacture this, they weld these spiders onto the reel shaft, onto the shaft, and that always ends up warping a little bit. Plus paint and grass and debris. You know, if you're going to do that, you got to clean off the debris of the reel shaft. And I prefer the pie tape, honestly. These are not super accurate. Like, if the reel's supposed to be like 4.5 inches, this will probably read 20, 30 thousandths off. But it is precise. I actually stuck an old reel on the lathe over there and knocked 5 thousandths off of it, and then measured it with the pie tape. The pie tape read 5 thousandths less. So you're not going to get a true number, but you'll at least have a precise number. And it's good enough for making sure I have less than 10 thousandths cone. And this basically has a vernier scale on it. And with these reels, it's not a smooth cylinder. It's more like a polygon when you stretch the pie tape across it. So they have a nice multiplication thing here for that. So this is 11 bladed reel. Whatever the number I would get, you multiply it out by this. I usually don't worry about the multiplication too much, unless it's off by more than 20 or 30 thousandths. Then I'll just take care of it, whatever side's larger, and then I'll infeed that side further. The this particular grinder, it reads thousandths of an inch up there, and what's interesting is when you infeed the one side, this kind of acts like a triangle, and so if I infeed 10 thousandths here, the center of the shaft's only going to move 5 thousandths, and then the midway point between the center of the shaft and that is going to move 2.5 thousandths, right? And then, so, well, let me get this straight. This is going to be 5 thousandths. This is going to be 7.5 thousandths. And then this is going to be 2.5 thousandths. And then over there is 0. So when you do this, you have to kind of keep that in mind. If I need to knock 10 thousandths off this side in order to get there, I'd have to, let's see, how do I make this? How do I make the math a little bit easier for me? Okay, so let's say I have to knock 7.5 thousandths off this side. I infeed this 10 thousandths, so then I'll knock the 7.5 thousandths off this side, and then this side gets 2.5 thousandths knocked off. So I've only actually changed the cone by 5 thousandths. So I'd have to infeed this a bit more to get the rest of it. But since the maximum allowable cone is 10 thousandths, you don't have to be dead nuts on. So usually what I'll do is I'll get it to within the 10,000ths. Otherwise you end up spending all day grinding. And I've got three more of these mowers to go, which is 5 reels each, so 15 reels. And I can't eat up all the time in the world doing it. So that's what I'm going to do with the pie tape. It's a vernier scale. So if you look here, this is your thousandth scale, and then this is your tenths, and each line in between is 25 thousandths. And then you go down here, you get to the whole numbers. So I stick that in the reel. Now to use this, you got to make sure the blades of the reel are clean. Like, you can't have a bunch of debris and stuff on them. Some of these guys bring the mowers in barely washed, or not at all. And so you got to make, so if you're going to do the pie tape method, you got to make sure the actual part you're grinding is going to be clean. Doesn't matter so much if there's a bit of debris back here, because you're not, the tape's not riding on that. You know, so you stick your magnet there, and then I'm going to spin the reel in. Make sure my tape's not getting bunched up back there. Alright. This is hard to do one-handed. So here's our vernier scale. And you gotta try to make sure the tape is on the reel squarely, and it's not, you know, cocked off to the one side. So we're at 4 inches. Then you go up here and kind of line that up. So you look at 4 inches, then you add 0.7 to it, and then we're at 0.725. Okay, we're past the 2.5, not quite to the 50. So we're at 4.725, and then you look further down here on the vernier scale, and you have to look and see which of these lines lines up the best. This horn keeps getting in the way. Basket horn. Alright, it looks like the 19 lines up the best. So 4.725 plus 19. 4.725 plus 10 is 4.735 plus 9, 4.744. Alright, so that's what we're going to do there. 4.744. Alright, so on this one, a little bit of glare. Anyway, on this one, I'm getting 4.75, and then which one lines up the best? Looks like the 15, 4.7515. So 4.7 4.765. 4.765. So looks like we're about 20 thousandths off. And I could do the multiplication on this, but what I'm going to do is I'll just dial it in so that I go down the 20 thousandths on this side. And even though it won't be take the cone out perfectly, it'll get me within that 10 thousandths range. Okay, I got my reel set up in the grinder. It's clamped down. You should always check these, make sure they don't move on you. Because if this can bounce, then your grind's going to get messed up. What will happen is it'll set up like a harmonic frequency, and then you'll get one side of the reel ground heavier than the other side, or it'll miss blades, where you'll grind this blade, not this one, then grind the following one. This is all done by feel. So you touch it off both sides. You spin the reel by hand. You see how hard it impacts the stone or touches the stone. And then before you get started, you take the one side and you back it off. That way everything starts up, nothing's in contact. And then once you get it going, you slowly feed it in. Make sure that you're hitting on both sides equally. You'll be able to tell by the sound. I have it going, and as you can hear, it's hitting roughly equally on both sides. Relatively horrible sound once this thing really gets going. Barely touching the reel right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset, hit 0 on this again. Alright. And then what I'm going to do is that side needs 20 thousandths ground off of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to come over here on this side, I'm going to back it off. This way I'm not feeding really hard into the reel. I'm going to back this off. Remember what I said, the center is going to be 10, and then one side's going to be 7.5 on the high side. So if I go down 20, that'll get me 15. And then I'm going to go down, I'm going to do a total of 30. So I'm going to be 22.5. Okay, give me 22.5 on the high side, on the large side, and then on the low side, let's see, that's taking me 2.5, 7.5. So 7.5 minus whatever the fuck that was. Oh, I haven't had my coffee yet today. Anyway, I'm gonna probably have to go a bit further than this. Here. Yeah. Go full 40. Full 40 will get me 30 over here, 10 over here. That'll get me my 20. Like I said, I didn't do the math. I didn't do the calculation for the 11-sided polygon or whatever. But that'll get me within the 10 thousandths that I need to do. I've just finished grinding the reel, and I'm going to pi tape it just to verify where I'm at, and I'm at 4.7, and then 4.725, we come down here, looks like either the 4 or the 5 lines up the best, so I'm going to say this is 4.730 on this side. Here. I don't have a tripod or anything, so I gotta try and do this one-handed. Hold my phone. Hold on, I gotta put. Now I'm on this side. I had to put my phone down for a moment to get the pie tape straightened out. If you're looking at this, you can see 4.725, and then it appears that the 3 or the 4 is lined up. So we're going to go with it's 4.728. What it looks like 4.728. So I'm within 2 thousandths on the pie tape, and I could do the math and multiply this out, but it would probably give me like 2 thousandths and some tenths. So for all intents and purposes, each side of this reel is now within 2 thousandths of each other, and that's exactly what I was looking for. I could have set up the math and done whatever. So this, so I took the taper out and barely touched this side, but this side still needed sharpened, so I didn't mind taking more material off here and setting up the way I did, because I still had to sharpen this side.